David Davis is an entrepreneur in Tulsa with interests in finance, accounting, and real estate. David grew up in Detroit and was the first in his family to graduate from college. David was fortunate because the Detroit school system had programs at the time that showed students what they needed to do to prepare for college and how to apply for admissions and financial aid. Besides this program in his high school, David was influenced by a number of adults who mentored him in both high school and college. He also took the initiative to seek out people who helped him build his career path. Because mentors were an important part of his success, he has been actively involved in mentoring programs in the Tulsa Public Schools and currently works with 10 students at McClain High School. In this interview, David shares his thoughts about the failure of the career counseling system in the public schools to meet the needs of underprivileged students and why it is important for adults to get involved and show these students the possibilities that are available to them and what they must do to get there.
Just tell me, like you started, where you grew up and some of the things that influenced your life.
Well, again, I grew up in Detroit, and so we had a lot better programming when I came up. You know, some things have kind of fallen by the wayside since. But I was part of a program at Detroit Martin Luther King called MSAT, Math, Science, and Applied Technology. And one of the things that we did that really helped me was we had what's called a career resource paper that we had to do at the end of our sophomore year. I mean, we knew we had to do it at our freshman year, but it had to be turned in. It was our English grade for our second semester. It was our English grade for our second semester for the program. And so it was an APA style paper. And we had to specifically talk about what it is we wanted to do as a career.
Okay, that was your sophomore year?
That was my sophomore year. But in doing so, we had to pick 3 colleges that we wanted to attend. We had to contact the admissions office. So when I say we had to contact them, we either had to contact them correspondence by mail or we had to make a phone call. So they had some notification that this student was interested in this school. In that, we requested a catalog, which was all of the classes and an outline on what you needed to complete in order to graduate within a 4-year period.
Now, what career did you choose at that point? Were you thinking
engineering?
You were thinking about engineering.
Engineering, right? Okay. So my sophomore year, I had already had my qualifications in CAD/CAM, and so my junior year, I went in working for Delphi Automotive Services. But we had to do 3 schools in which we had to do that with. We had to contact financial aid, figure out exactly what we needed to do to complete the application process. And then we were to map out, based upon the catalog, how we were going to schedule our classes in order to graduate in a 4-year period, 4 to 5 year period, depending upon what your major was.
Right.
Then after that, we had to choose 3 corporations that we wanted to work for. Didn't matter if they were, in Detroit or not. Mine was engineering, so kind of Detroit was good for me. But it was in the process that they were making transition. What I mean by that is in '99, closer to the 2000 mark, the engineering game kind of changed. Where Ford, General Motors, those guys weren't hiring engineers anymore. They were hiring engineering firms, right?
Oh, really?
So they started contracting. So a lot of the engineers, these $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 jobs were going out the window. And it was doing that because a lot of the engineers really weren't working. They were marking up drawings that people like me were doing, and then they're going to the golf course, right? So, these companies were seeing the trends, and it was just cheaper to hire an engineering firm based upon projects to do certain things as opposed to keeping a staff full of engineers. And so we had to choose, 3 companies. We had to contact the company, find out who the recruiter was, develop a relationship with the recruiter, find out what the qualifications were for these entry-level positions that we wanted as far as careers concerned. And so all of this was in the APA style paper.
And what does APA stand for?
Oh, Lord Jesus. You have 2 different English forms. One is APA, one is MLA. I can't even tell you the difference between the 2 right now, just off the top of my head. And so all of the high school students, we spent a lot of time at Wayne State University.
Oh, okay.
And down at the Detroit Public Library. A lot of us couldn't afford the APA style book. So we went to, the public library to grab the book, or, you could only purchase the book at Wayne State or at a college campus. So back then we didn't kind of have Barnes and Nobles and things set up. So we spent most of our time down there at Wayne State University, getting this project done. A lot of times we made the calls from the library, your program is very important. In doing this, I hooked up with some amazing people. With the schools that I did my career resource paper on, I got to know the admissions coordinators, the mission directors. I got to know the financial aid directors for those institutions. I was able to get application fees waived. That's how I got my job working for Delphi Automotive Services. I played golf, so I played collegiate golf. And so one of my sponsors, I played on the AJGA tour, which is the American Junior Amateur Association tour. And so one of my sponsors I met through this process, his name was Leroy Ritchie. He was executive vice president for Chrysler. And just happened to be the first African-American board member of the USGA.
Oh, wow.
So, which is the United States Golf Association. So, we really hit it off. So, Leroy became one of my primary sponsors for traveling on that AJGA tour and some of the things that I was able to accomplish as a student athlete.
Now that was in college?
I was in high school.
Oh, in high school?
Again, we're talking my sophomore year in high school.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize
that. Right, so by my junior
program.
year in high school, coming out of junior high, we had what was called a DAPSET, which was a computer science technology, and engineering program. And so at that time, I'd done a couple projects that I got some national attention. And so that kind of what catapulted me into the program at Delphi Automotive Services. And so, but these mentors, and then when I went to college.
Now, where'd you go to college?
I originally went to Savannah State University. And then I transferred to a smaller college called Talladega College. Both of these are HBCUs, which is historically black colleges and universities. Okay. Savannah State was the oldest HBCU in the state of Georgia. Very rich traditional history, Savannah State. And then Talladega also is the oldest HBCU in the state of Alabama. And so the mentorship was tremendous for me. I was doing work for the Tiger Woods Foundation my senior year, and they were instrumental. I was going to go to Jackson State University, which was another HBCU. And so the Tiger Woods Foundation was...
That's going to mess that.
Oh, sorry. The Tiger Woods Foundation was instrumental in helping me with scholarship information and getting, the monies for me to go to school. And I wound up kind of switching directions and going to Savannah State University. And there, really got to know the university president, which was Dr. Brown. Dr. Zoe was the vice president and college attorney. Really, it taught me, those mentorship programs taught me how to plug in, not just to be a student, on campus. I actually got to know who was over the student union, who was over the student body, who was the admission coordinator, who was financial aid coordinator. By the end of my sophomore year, I had a credit card with a college credit card, like working for the student union. So I kind of threw parties on the yard for the student union's office. Became vice president of Student Government Association. Went over to Talladega and kind of started the same format. When I started Talladega, we have a huge alumni association in the city of Detroit, and so I got to know the chief of medical staff at Detroit Medical Center. His name was Dr. Leroy Lang, and he became like another father for me. And so my life has been guided by mentorship. CEOs here, doctors there, CFOs, but it started with, in high school, the program teaching me how to navigate through life. Not necessarily, you earn your way, but at the same token, those relationships are necessary, and HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, was created with a little different mindset. What I mean by that is being an African American. HBCUs taught you not to necessarily fit into the colonial mold. All right, it taught you how to create your own systems so that you can go back into your community and make a difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it didn't teach you how to go get a job working for somebody else. It taught you how to create jobs so that you can empower your people.
So your historic black colleges actually pressed entrepreneurship, not just.
Well, they did. Things have since changed. What I mean by things have since changed is, a lot of our presidents at HBCUs are not HBCU graduates. So a lot of them are graduating from state institutions who, who kind of teach a different mindset. And so a lot of that mindset has been, has infiltrated the ranks, if you will. And so, the landscape of HBCUs are changing. That makes sense.
So.
It's just something that I've seen, even at my college and going to other colleges, it's a lot different than it was. And I've seen a little bit of the transition, when I was in college. Again, I'm not a millennial. I think they call me that. I'm in that period, like between the... I forget what they call them.
Generation X.
The Generation X, and it's a 4 or 5 year period of individuals who understand both sides. Really frustrating for us because we can see what the older generation is not, what a disconnect is, and then we can see from the younger generation's standpoint. But we still see what a disconnect is. And
well, do you think for say black students in Tulsa Public Schools or in Oklahoma in general, is there an advantage to going to a historically black college versus a college like OU or OSU? I mean, I know Brandon Oldham went to OU and he's done extremely well there. I mean, are those open in your opinion, or what do you think the choices are, or the advantages or disadvantages?
Again, like I said, the landscape is changing. So some of the same things that you're going to get are going to be the same things you're going to get in the kind of state college atmosphere. Maybe not with the amount of resources that you receive at OU or something like that. specifically for Tulsa, I think it's beneficial. I think it's very much beneficial to go to HBCU for a black student. Just simply because you don't get a lot of information about your history in America, your contributions in America. A lot of your contributions go neglected, from funding resources to what's being taught to, I mean, it's astronomical to, to the way that the money is being spent in your community. You're there, but it's you're not a part of the conversation. Even from a school standpoint. I mean, if you look at the state, if you look at each one of the state levels, especially in the state of Oklahoma, there's breakout sessions for the Native American, there's breakout session for, Hispanic Americans, but there's nothing for African American students. And so the climate in Oklahoma related to the contributions that African Americans have made in society and how that is supposed to translate.
It's hard for the kids. It's
nothing affirming outside of sports for African Americans throughout our systems.
So how do you suggest these kids overcome that?
Well, this is a great start.
Okay.
A mentorship program, some type of implementation within the school district, if you will, to make a concerted effort. Programs like the Dream Center, some of these, what do you call these schools that are coming up now?
Charter schools?
Charter schools that has specific focus, like the Langston
Like the
Hughes.
Langston Hughes.
They're going to be necessary. Otherwise, the narrative is shifting. I take like Booker T, for example. I mean, Booker T, which was created to be, a successful African American school, if you will, just is moving from Booker T to Washington.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? It's moving from being a successful African American school, if you will, to 76 or 78% Caucasian school. I mean, that's how the needles. I mean, I've never seen anything like I've seen it in Oklahoma, and it's only because I am a participant. Like I mentor in the schools. I've got my ear to the pulse of what's happening, and so for a kid, that's what's crazy about society is that a lot of these African American kids, for example, these kids are already dealing with ailments that are not, the best ailments. For example, I've got kids that we mentor over at McClain. One of the things that we dealt with quite often is, what's going on this week? Well, mom got evicted, this, that, and the third, So I was instrumental in getting the Boy Scouts involved in McClain. And so, last year, Boy Scouts actually paid for them to go to nationals. And a lot of guys were kind of intimidated. It's the first time away from home. They know that there's going to be students there that are well off. That's a lot of them are not going to look like them. So it's kind of frightening for them. But they went. They had a great time, experienced some things that otherwise they would have never experienced. And so the Boy Scouts have afforded them some opportunities that they never otherwise would have gotten. one of the kids that we went to pick up signed on the door, we're down the street at such and such house, hadn't seen mom for a couple of days, I've got my little brother. Mm-hmm. Right? So is college an option for him? Yeah, but college an option for him is, working, helping mom keep the lights on, it may be sports, may be the outlet for him. Now, on top of working, he's playing sports. You know what I'm saying? Taking care of little brother. Yeah, he's going, but, while he's there, he's thinking, I wonder if my brother's got something to eat. I don't have any money to do what we're doing here. Thankfully, we've got mentors, those type of people that are picking up the tab. And so this is not an isolated situation. This is their life, right? Mm-hmm. And so, and we all play a part in a contributory process, right? And so,
let me ask you a quick question now. Like in Tulsa, and specifically, they've got programs where you can go 2 years basically for free to Tulsa Community College. Mm-hmm. So that gets you your first 2 years, and you can live at home and do that. Absolutely. That's one option that a lot of the kids.
That's an amazing option. Mm-hmm. That's an amazing option.
In the Tulsa Tech, that's free too, and they can, some of those classes in there, they can actually come out of high school, or maybe with just a year and a half out of high school, have a pretty good job. We've got quite a few of them on the website. I've got about 9 Tulsa Tech instructors from a whole lot of different career categories. Right. And those are things too that they can do while they're living at home.
I think those programs are amazing. They're having a tough time getting African Americans even apply for the Tulsa Tech deal, even though it's right smack in the middle of Tulsa.
Why do you think that is? Because that seems to be a real outlet for the kind of kids that you're describing.
Well, here's what's funny, right? Like you heard me mention in Detroit, I had my certification in CAD/CAM by the time I got to my junior year, right? And so that was something that was pushed. It was an option that I knew I had. We're looking at it from the other end for taking care of his little brother and little sister, right? So this kid found Tulsa Tech. One of the directors had befriended him, or one of the professors. I couldn't remember exactly which one. And so the kid is now graduated, got his GED, graduated from Tulsa Tech, and is about to go to Oklahoma State University on the full ride.
No kidding.
But the kid had to find Tulsa Tech. Nobody advised him to go to Tulsa Tech. Nobody, you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, now, what kind of classes did he take at Tulsa Tech? Because those are all,
I can't remember. Like, it was a technical class, but it put him his
like a pre-engineering. They
right. I forget what it was.
Yeah, they do have that at Tulsa Tech. They actually have a STEM program there that's a pre-engineering class.
And that's what wound up happening, is that the director put him on a track, right, based upon the situation, and helped him get through that track. And so he was actually talking about this program. They actually were featuring Tulsa Tech at the school board meeting. And so, to see that was absolutely amazing for me. But again, he affirmed something that I already knew, is that nobody pointed him to Tulsa Tech. He found Tulsa Tech, right? And he was very instrumental in saying that. Not only was he, but there's another Hispanic young lady who said the same thing. Like, nobody advised me to go to Tulsa Tech.
No, he was in the TPS system.
He was in the TPS system. And he said, nobody advised me to go. I had to seek out another option because the option that I had wasn't working, And so, there are things going on within in these areas. It's not helping these kids get to the next level. For example, sophomore year is when I told you to do that career resource paper, right? And the point of that was, if you haven't got your stuff together, you need to know the requirements and where you're going to go so that you can at least got 2 years to pull yourself together. develop some relationships to get you back on the right track.
Right.
And those are things that I don't see within.
What do you think's the right age to do that? Because I actually gave a little talk in front of the career counselors. It was at Booker T. They had a meeting. It was Teacher's Day off, and they had different classes, enhanced education classes for the teachers. And I gave a talk about what we were doing as far as this mentorship program goes. And the one thing that I was trying to get through to them was that I think they need to start pretty young. I mean, I'm thinking about what it is, because high school is the first time you've got a historical record of what you achieve as an individual that's written down, that everybody's going to see for the rest of your life. And so I wanted them to try to start thinking about that as a way to work harder in high school and motivate them to do more, because that record they build in high school is important. So I talked to them a little bit, and they said that sometimes even as low as 8th grade, those kids start to.
I would
what
even
do
go.
you think?
I would think more like 6th grade, because that DAP program I was talking about, that started in 6th grade.
The one in Detroit.
In Detroit, so like the DAP program, on Saturdays, the DAP program started at 7 a.m. I'm at Detroit Library at 7 a.m. every Saturday morning for the DAP program. Either that or the Science Center is where they would meet with us at. The Science Center, right? And so this was, I'm in a classroom. I got a book in my hand. They're teaching us, they're teaching us job placement. They're teaching us these things. 6, 7. I mean, that's the way it is over in Union. That's the way. I mean, these other school districts, they're getting this stuff.
Oh, Union's a great school district.
Jinx, they're getting this stuff. Here, there's no expectation that we're going to do it. I mean, even in these, for example, I went to a mentorship meeting with the mayor, with Dewey, right? So Dewey had a mentorship deal where they featured Union schools, right? Which I thought was kind of weird, but so they featured Union schools. Every Caucasian kid that went up talked about college. Every African American student went up. Guess what they talked about though? Tech school, job placement. Same grades, same. I had a nephew graduated from Union. Never talked about that. Never was even talked about. Counselors never even dealt with that. Never even. Yeah, and so I'm trying to figure out, okay, so how these other kids translate in one way, and how these this other set of kids translate in a totally different way.
And they're talking to the same counselors?
I don't know. But listening to what's being said over the stage and their top tier students, they're going in 2 totally different directions. You follow what I'm saying?
No, I understand exactly.
So somewhere there's a disconnect. Somewhere there's. You tell me.
I mean,
I don't mentor in Union schools. I know my nephew didn't get any of that, right? I did it, but he didn't get any of that from there. For example, we went to the career resource. What do you call it? The career resource. The career fair.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But they bring the different colleges in, and they bring different careers in. So I stopped and talked to my man from Yale, right? And he looked at me, he said, Mr. Davis, he said, man, he said, I just wish I could get more black applicants. If I can get them to just talk to me, right? It's like, dude, I get free ride. I mean, like, no. If they got 3 to 4 old man, we can work on it, right? These kids don't even know they have an opportunity.
Well, that's what I'm talking to you about.
But that's what I'm saying. They don't even know that they have an opportunity.
I think that's great. What you just said, is great, because that's what we need to get out. We need to be able to talk to these kids.
And these kids that I'm talking about that standing on the stage are 3'5", 3'6". Yale is a real option for them, and they don't even know it. That was deep to me. It was like, wow. They have no clue. Right. So when I went to college, because of this Career Resource Center, I knew who the financial aid person was. I knew who the director of student support was. So even if I needed money, if I needed to have a work study job, if I needed, if I needed money to go buy some gym shoes, I knew where I can go to find out what scholarships was available, and I knew that there was somebody there to help me. If I was left-handed, and they had something with regard,
You had somebody to talk to.
these kids don't even know they have no idea. These kids go to college and have no idea. And the parents don't have any idea. And that's not just you. I'm talking about, I got friends of mine who kids go to Highland Hall. Mm-hmm. They can't get no financial support going to Baylor. And they looking around, and everybody that they went to school at Highland Hall with, they cutting checks. Mm-hmm. You follow what I'm saying?
No.
Like what I mean by that is their kids that are going to Baylor, they standing in line, they cutting checks for tuition.
So the parents are paying for the tuition.
Right. My people, the ones I'm talking about, they need help.
Right.
But they don't even know where to look for help. Mm-hmm. They just happen to say something to me, and I say, okay, here's what we need to do. Here's what she needs to do. But it ain't the counseling nowadays. I don't know. I don't know if it's for a particular people, but like I thought the counselor's supposed to help you get through those.
Right. Well, I think part of the problem is they've cut the. I've talked to the Tulsa Public School counselors and public school people around it. They now have gotten it down to where it's like one counselor for 450 some odd kids. It used to be, I think, about half that. So, the budget cuts have made a big difference. And that's one of the reasons why we started YPNG.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
There's a big gap to fill here. Yeah. And what you're talking about kind of reinforces what my thoughts were, but you're more specific about it. I think that's really, I'm glad I had the opportunity to talk to you, because I think what it does is it means we need to focus a little bit more on showing these kids some of these things about these scholarship opportunities.
How to fill out an application. Little stuff. A lot of these kids don't go to college because they can't afford the application fee. Like, they don't even know that because you fit in this position, the application fee is waived. Those type of things, they have no idea. They don't have a clue. None. Right? And so it's like, I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure it out. So, my thing, and I'm talking to the dean over at McClain, I said, why don't we have anything, okay, if we say there's a counselor issue, right? Then why don't we have anything within our curriculum that shows them how to do it? Like, teaches them how to do it, like how to write, on the application, you got to write a narrative. Utilize things that they already have to accomplish as a teaching mechanism. Some of the things ain't rocket science to me.
Now let me tell you one thing that I think is difficult for people to try to overcome when they're kids that are like a single parent. If they're in a single parent family, or they're in a low income family, and like you say, they've got to work to help support the family and stuff early on and do things like that. So those kids are at a little bit of a disadvantage from the standpoint that they don't really have the opportunity to get encouraged by their parents. Their parents are not college graduates. Their parents their parents are not college, or they don't know people that are college graduates. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you was to explain to these kids that maybe that's the environment you come from, but there is a path out of that where education and working hard can get you out of it.
I'm first generation.
And you're a first generation example of that. Yeah.
First generation. Then my sister, was 10 years older than me. She came down to Oklahoma, and she went and got her degree from OSU.
Really?
So, 20 years later, my sister got her degree. You know what I'm saying? That's 10 years older than me. So yeah, man. I have no. The other thing that I've seen is this, from a teaching standpoint, right? So if you go to like a Booker T, you got a lot of tenured teachers there, right? And then you have not just tenured teachers, but you have administrators that look like us, right? In some of these other schools, you don't have any tenured teachers. They all Teach for America teachers who don't have teaching certificates. They have various degrees. You know, the Teach for America deal is to pay off student loans. So they have a for sure job. They get some experience, get their loans paid off after a couple of years, and they're gone. Right? So the care factor, as far as education is concerned, is not even at the same level. And then you're dealing with kids who got these other issues. So, and a lot of these teachers don't know how to facilitate. It's one thing to be a teacher, it's another thing to facilitate a classroom. For example, if you go to Union or Booker T, it's a requirement that you have 2 years training before you even get your own classroom. So you got a lot of these Teach for America people who ain't never been in the classroom. Come out and you hand them 30 students that deal with what I just told you. Right? So it's very difficult, right? And so, you know, it's not just a disadvantage from home, it's a cycle. I just go to engineering school and then come back, and then I watched the shift in terms of how the industry was changing. And I had an entrepreneurship mindset, but I wasn't in the mindset of the engineering deal. Didn't have the resources to start engineering deal, right?
So when did you change? When did you start taking?
After my freshman year in Savannah State. But I knew whatever I was going to do, I was going to be successful. So I figured, you know, finance and banking, business management, I couldn't lose. Right? So I was a double major, finance and banking, business management.
Okay.
So I figured whatever I did, I needed to know how to manage my own money. So that's kind of what really took the direction for me. My mentor was a medical doctor that had his own practice, and I was the chief of staff at the Detroit Medical Center. And I used to want to be a doctor when I was in grade school, but you know. And so he didn't have any kids, so he's like, "Dad, you need to go to med school. You need to go to med school." I'm like, "I'm not interested in going to med school." So that's kind of how I got involved in the field that I'm in now. Just knew that, you know, I was gonna make a lot of money, and so it'd be good to know how to manage it, to know how I was gonna do it. You know.
So what kind of businesses are you involved in now?
Real estate and tax practice. I'm opening up another tax practice over out north, and we own a gym, the title boxing gym out south.
Oh, okay, sure, I know that.
And so I've done a few other things. Built a CD and DVD manufacturing facility. Did some other things, but that's kind of been my thing.
So to go out and run your own business, you got to know how to manage your money. So did you take a lot of accounting classes, or what did you end up getting your degrees in?
My degrees are in finance and banking and business management.
Okay.
It's kind of funny. Came out of college and turned down a couple good jobs to start a record company and CD and DVD manufacturing facility.
Where'd you do that?
Detroit.
In Detroit. And what got you out to Tulsa?
Bible school.
Oh, okay.
I'm also in full-time ministry.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm one of the associate pastors at the Northside Christian Center. I actually came here to go to Rhema. So I was in corporate entertainment. And I was in the middle of a record deal and a film deal. And I broke down and did what God told me to do in 96 when I was 16. Came to Rhema. And that's been kind of instrumental, because what we do here, we service a little over 1,700 ministries across the United States. So here, I was doing a lot of traveling. We covered 42 states, 17 different countries, and so I was doing a lot of traveling, financial management, seminars, ministering, and covering taxes for a lot of the ministers, which were businessmen, you know, also in their staffs and kind of their key people, major and small. So my career path has taken me down a road that has kind of really opened up. It's been really winding. I mean, you kind of become a tax expert, and people have to open up their books. You know, you kind of learn their whole livelihood. It's a language. Finances is a language. Money is a language. Math is a language. Again, you have English or whatever your tongue is. That's a language, right? So they tell a story. And so that's kind of what got me into the financial deal. I played golf, collegiate golf, and so vice president of Student Government Association versus external and internal. So I was kind of had my hands in everything in college. HBCU colleges are a little different. So your Student Government Association, though they're not exactly staff, they're staff. That makes sense. So like our student activities budget, things of that nature, we controlled that, you know. So it taught us how to manage money. You know, when we had concerts, different things that came on the yard, we were responsible for it.
Okay.
Making sure I made money, making sure we had money to give to the next administration, making sure if it was an election season, we had debates on the college campus with everybody that was there. So we were a part of being a very integral part of the community. I don't necessarily see it like that in state colleges, but in our colleges, we did it. We did it, and we worked hand in hand with student support services. So if it was something that was needed, we knew exactly where to, you know. I was in a suite at the Burner Brother Conference in Atlanta, hair conference. And I was in one of the suites with the chief editor for Ebony. And he had just finished doing a book on the state of Savannah, the history of Savannah. And he said to me, he said, Dave, you know, I don't think the young people really care about. And out of me, I felt like the Holy Spirit said, it's not that they don't care. Nobody told them to care. They don't know how to care. They don't know. Ignorance. And so that's a monster, man. I think the Bible says my people perish for lack of knowledge, right? And so I think people are perishing from the lack of knowledge. We live in a day now that's more emotion driven. Well, I can't say, because yesterday was emotion driven. It was emotion driven with factual information. I think now it's not about factual information. It's about what I feel is right. You know, and so when the kids' experiences are the experience that they experience, then you can throw all the facts out of the deal. They're in survival mode. So how do you change that? How do you change that? And I think you've got the right key. You got to breathe life on somebody who really don't have the capacity to change the situation. If that makes sense.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. Okay.
Booker T is amazing, though. I mean, when I say Booker T is amazing, if you can't make it out of Booker T, you ain't gonna make it. You know, that's the best shot you got on that side of town. You know, and I'm thankful for it. But man, you got Central, you got McClain, and And those environments are two totally different environments, you know.
David will be making himself available to YPNG members in virtual classroom sessions. Check the YPNG classroom schedules for times and dates beginning in 2018.